All right. So let's talk about finding that balance between momentum and rest. So I'm going to tell you for me, this is why this topic came to me. So I am super excited, as you all know. Thanks, Shadi. I'm super excited that my book has come out. And anything that I'm about to say is in no way a complaint. It's just the reality of it. It is exhausting when a book comes out. It's so fun. It's so exciting. But like I said, because there's so much noise in the world, you have to really work hard to get people to hear you and to hear what's going on. And, when you come from a place of service, when you just want to help people eliminate the shame around clutter and have it no longer be a bad word and have it instead be a real opportunity to improve your life, it takes a lot of work, man. I got to tell you, it takes a lot of work. So when I think about finding the balance between momentum and rest, this is where I'm coming from. So, I wrote this book last year, turned it in last July, so July of 2016, comes out August of 2017. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Mark. So it came out a year after I wrote it, but between, in that time, you think, oh, good, I wrote it, had a year off, sit back. No, I turn it in, I get the first round back of edits, send that back in. Second round back, send that back in. So you're still working on it even after you turn the book in, right? You're still working on it. And then you're working on the pre-launch. So what are you going to do to get people's attention, to let them know that this is coming out and that it's something that they might find helpful or they might enjoy? And, do you want to set up interviews? Do you want to create pre-order bonuses like I did? Some way to incentivize people to pay attention, because if you really believe in your work like I do, you want as many people as possible to get their hands on it. So, yes, absolutely, Sarah, critical balance on work and rest. So I've been on kind of like the hamster wheel for over a year now, about a year and a half, because from writing the book to turning, so more than a year and a half. And you can really get stuck in that, like when you have a lot of momentum going is when you tend to be the most productive, right? When the wheels are already in motion and they're not at a standstill and you have to get them going again. So it's super tempting to just keep that train on its track and moving, but then it can also be easy to forget that rest is required too. So it's like, let me just do this, and something like when writing the book and wanting to spread the news and share the message, and you get invitations for interviews and great opportunities, you don't really want to turn any of them down, as long as they feel like they're a fit for your message. So you end up having a pretty full schedule. Last Friday, I got up, I set my alarm for 2:45 a.m. so I could be on a radio station, a radio program that was airing in Spain. So it was 3:20 my time, it was 9:20 in Spain. But it was a great opportunity, Talk Radio Europe. I wasn't going to miss that opportunity. So set the alarm, got up, was like, yep, I'll be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed at 3:20 in the morning. And, or this, like, I am not a morning person. For you, those of you who don't know me, I am not a morning person. I'm much more of a night owl. So anything, like even this morning, I set my alarm for 5:45. Super early for me, right? Had to leave my house for 7 to get to the studio for a little bit after 8 to be on the segment of this morning show. So it's like, go, 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 rush, 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 run, 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 like keep going. And when you do that, it's like, okay, now what's next, what's next, what's next? With work and with momentum comes opportunity, right? It's that universal dance that you often hear me talk about, that when you take action to support your goals and intention, then the universe responds, right? So you get into this dance where it's like, yeah, I'll take my step, you'll take your step, I'll take my step, you take your step. Hey, Jen, so good to see you here. Sorry, old friend, hadn't seen her in a while. Nice to see you, Jen. So you kind of like, you take this step and, you get into that universal dance, which is so awesome, right? It's so great to be in. And so you want to keep that dance going by keeping the action happening on your end. But you can't do it so much that you then burn yourself out and you are just zapped, right? Then you've got nothing to really give. And this whole goal of being of service then falls by the wayside. Then you just become like this robot who's going through the motions. So it's finding that balance between doing and resting. Yeah, Susan Night Owl too, so she gets it. Helen, I need this. A caregiver for my special needs son of 44 years. I need a balance so bad. You have to, we've got to take that balance, right? There can be so many demands on our time. We absolutely have to find that balance as best we can. And so for me, and I think this can really help for anyone, I have been very intentional in practicing scheduling, which I know sounds so basic. And I know, I did a whole Facebook Live about this a couple weeks ago, which people loved because it was so practical and hands-on. But when you have a lot of demands on your time, when you're in that zone of really busy, like true busy, not fake busy, truly busy, a schedule is your friend. Like I have to, today's Monday, right? See, so every Sunday I sit down and I do my plan for the week. I write down, I'll recap it quickly for those of you who haven't watched that other video, but I recap what I need to get done that week. And when I recap it, here's what needs to get done this week. I write it all down. Then I plan it day by day. Hey, Donna, welcome. I plan it day by day, like, okay, Monday. What absolutely needs to get done on Monday. And I do it mostly electronically. This is a little messy because this week I was feeling pen, and I know it's going to be backwards, but so this is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So I make a list of like, okay, here's what I have to get done this week. Hey, Michelle, here's what I have to get done this week. Here's what has to get done Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, etc. So I can still capitalize on that momentum that I'm feeling, right? Like that flow that I'm in, that groove that I'm in. Things are happening. I want to keep them happening, but I can't show up with an empty tank. So I have to rest. So when I do that kind of scheduling, what that allows me to do is to be so much more productive during my day. So I don't have to do 13, 14-hour days, which I'll tell you, my goal, I want to do like 4 hours a day, max. Maybe 4 days a week. All right, fine. I'll do 20 hours a week. How about that? That's my goal, is to work 20 hours a week. Times like this, it's going to be a little bit more than that. But by doing the scheduling, I don't waste so much of my day going, what do I need to work on next? What's next? I have it. As soon as I feel distracted, I just look to my list and go, oh, that's right, this is the next thing. Like I was doing that today. Came back from the TV program, was exhausted, took a power nap because I needed to, and then was able to go right to my list and go, okay, what needs to happen? And could knock those right out one by one. And so I know that after this Facebook Live, let me check my list. Yeah, I'm done for today. So because I went by my list. So you can still be in that universal dance, right? You can still do that, put action behind your intention, so you stay in that flow and things don't stall, but you're also getting the rest you need to make sure that you have the energy to continue to do that. So Alan asks, does age make a difference? I'm 50, still hard to find balance. Age does not make a difference, Alan. Not at all. I think finding balance is a perpetual goal for everybody. And I don't know, honestly, there's finding your balance. And I think that's the important distinction, is finding your balance. What works for you? This scheduling thing works for me. Other people may do better with, 2 or 3 days full on to crank out a bunch of stuff and then resting for a day or two. It really depends on how you do things, right? But yeah, it's a lifelong challenge for sure. Let me see here. Sarah, you're Love helped me tremendously break up some static. Oh, you're live. Live and love. Oh, good. Good. I'm glad, Sarah. Awesome. Stretching out all you need to do also stretches out the longevity of it. Time is mercy. Yes, bite-sized pieces, Sarah. Amen. Cindy, where to start? I have ex-husband stuff, 2 boys who are out of the house, and mom's stuff who passed. Procrastinating. Plus my own stuff, trying to use my illness as an excuse. Clutterville. Yeah. So, Cindy, so you know what's going on, right? So you've got all this stuff in your house that you don't want there. You say that you're trying not to use your illness as an excuse. So this is what I mean about finding your balance, right? You are going to feel so much more energized and better when you start to move some of that stuff. Remember, you don't have to have it completely sorted, handled, and sent places to feel the relief that you're longing for. You just need to get started. So we're kind of circling right into specific clutter tips here. So you've got ex-husband stuff, 2 boys who are out of the house, mom who passed, so you've got a lot of people's stuff. So the 2 boys who are out of the house, you can give them a deadline. Come and get your stuff or it's going to go to charity by a certain date. You know, like think of what is the quickest, easiest, most effective way that you can get some relief fast. That would be having your boys get their stuff out of the house as much as they can. I know that's not always easy. Depends on how long they've been out of the house. Did they just move out? So you're storing some things for them, etc. It depends. So you've got 2 boys worth of stuff. You've got ex-husband stuff, mom stuff. To get started, you know, aside from asking your boys to get their stuff out of the house, start with 1 round of easy stuff, like the stuff that you know you don't want. Like you don't have to. I think we often procrastinate on sorting our stuff because it's like, I won't even know what to do with it. Where will I put it? When it's, let's first just have you start with identifying those things that you know you're done with, that you're ready to let go of, and just put them in their own box, bag, pile, section of the house, whatever. This is the I want it gone space, right? So as you're going through your stuff, all you need to worry about is look for the things that you're ready to let go of. Put them in their designated area. Just starting there, and really I'm telling you, doing 1 round, the Pomodoro round, as you've all heard me talk about, the 25-minute round of identifying things you're ready to let go of, you will already start to feel better, Cindy. So you needn't have it all gone, your ex-husbands, your boys, your mom's stuff. You don't need to have it all gone to feel some relief. Remember, with clutter, as with any goal, the success is always in the action and not the outcome. Yes, success it comes as at the outcome too, but the success really is in the action, because the more you procrastinate and put off what it is you say you want to do, the more clutter you're accumulating. Right now you've got the mental clutter on top of the physical clutter, on top of the emotional clutter. So the longer you put it off, the more your clutter is accumulating, even if you're not adding physical stuff to the mix. So try 1 round this week. Start with 1. If you feel like doing more, do more. But start with 1 round this week and just identify those items that you're ready to get rid of. And then I bet you'll be able to feel like you can start to breathe. Bonnie, I just found out about the bullet journal. Love it. I'm not familiar with the bullet journal, so please feel free to share if you'd like. You're welcome, Cindy. You got this. I know that's a lot of stuff, and it's a lot of emotional stuff with an ex, with your mom who passed. Like, that's not easy stuff. So that's why I think you'll feel better. Get rid of the easy stuff. Alan says get rid of with a question mark. If you can just clarify your question, Alan, I'll be happy to expand on it. Make sure that I didn't miss. Yeah. Awesome. Good. Yeah, so Alan, if you want to clarify some more. Now I got you back to my to-do list. Let me get back to my notes. So it really is, if you think about, life is a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. So when you have some momentum going, you needn't keep running like you're sprinting, a 100-yard dash, but you can keep a slow pace going as consistently as possible. Now, it may be that, for me lately, there can be a whole day that I'm just like so wiped. Like over the past 4 or 5 days or so, I've definitely been hitting a wall where I'm just tired. And I'm kind of spent with all I've been doing. And so it's like, you know what? I know I should be doing A, B, C, D, and E today, but I also know I need to rest. So I give myself a lazy day on the couch, or I go outside, or just rejuvenate a bit so I can get some energy back, so I can stay in consistent action with that beautiful force that wants to help you out. So, doing that consistent marathon doesn't mean always running, but it's kind of like, when do you run? When do you jog in place? That's the balance. And it's okay if you find that, you know what, I could use some rest right now. Listen to your body. If you don't and you push through it, it will get your attention, knock you down with a head cold or a bad headache or, something. What we want to try to avoid is making our soul and our body get to that place where it just wants to slam on the brakes because we haven't been listening to its request to slow down. Okay. Sarah asks, tips for clothing clutter. Yes. So for clothing clutter, Sarah, so I'm going to start with, hey Amy, hey Liz, welcome. I'm going to start with a couple of the common or obvious practical approaches, and then we'll dig a little bit deeper. So tips for clothing clutter. A great approach is always to evaluate your wardrobe at the end of a season. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are moving from summer into fall. And so as the temperatures get a little bit cooler, you're wearing shorts less, you're wearing the summer shirts less. So looking back at those items and asking yourself, what did I not wear once over the course of the summer? If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, over the course of the winter, what did I not even wear once? And you can start by considering getting rid of those items. I say considering because you might have some items in there that you didn't wear, mainly because you didn't have an occasion to, not necessarily because it wasn't something that you didn't love. But I guarantee you there's stuff in there that you haven't worn, or that when you open your wardrobe or your dresser drawer that you're not excited to see there, that it's like, ugh, I don't really like this. So you can start with that practical approach of, did I wear this at all last season? And then you can use the other approaches, which I like to use, which is, if I'm on the fence about an item of clothing, I'll ask myself, if I saw this in a store today, would I buy it? Or, does this fit well? Do I love it? Do I tend to reach for it a lot? I mean, it really is true, that statistic, that we wear 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time. So let's look and see what that other 80% is that you're not wearing. And just like I said to Cindy, get rid of the items that are easy to get rid of first. Like, I'm ready to let this go, I'm ready to let that go. Those things that you're on the fence about, ask yourself if you'd buy it if it was in a store, if you saw it today in a store. Or dig deeper. Do I have any kind of emotional attachment to this article of clothing? And if so, what is it? What is the attachment here? Is it a positive attachment, or is it a negative attachment? Meaning, like, are you keeping an article of clothing from an ex who you had a not very nice breakup with? If that's the case, and you find that your current relationships, romantic or otherwise, aren't really healthy or strong, that piece of clutter could absolutely be playing a role in that. So, again, if it's a lot of clothes you need to go through, I would do that quick sort. Anytime there's a large volume, I always like to suggest my clients start with that quick sort. Keep, get rid of. Keep, get rid of. 2 piles, that's it. Then you chisel it down further. So now you have the get rid of pile. You identify what can be donated, what can be sold, what is really has come to the end of its life. So you can start with that easy sort. The main thing I want to remind you of, Sarah, I wanted to see who said it, Sarah, and anyone else with any of the types of clutter, you don't have to do it all in one fell swoop, and chances are you won't. So by expecting yourself to is a surefire way to get yourself to never start. So be realistic in your expectations. Shoot for a reachable goal. That's why I like those Pomodoro rounds, 1 25-minute round. You feel so motivated, do 2. And just start with that keep, get rid of, sort. So I hope that's helpful, Sarah. Monica, my greatest challenge is getting rid of or properly storing family mementos from the passing of my parents and kids' artwork. Yeah, that stuff is tough, Monica. I mean, that is a legitimate challenge for sure. So the first thing I would encourage you to do, and this is going to be tricky, is to think about, do you love those items, the family mementos from the passing of your parents and your kids' artwork? I get the desire to wanting to keep it all. But first evaluate, do I love this item? Do I use this item? Do I need this item? That's the kind of rule of thumb I use, right? Do I love it? If I don't love it, need it, or use it, it's clutter. If you love your kids' artwork, if you love every piece of your kids' artwork, then absolutely keep it. You can consider looking at, let me just pull up, is this true? Yeah. I'm going to put a link in the comments. 1 second. This is a neat idea for storing kids' artwork. It's called Archive. Yeah, so you'll see the link. I'll actually pin it to the top there. So archiveapp.com is a handy tool for archiving your children's artwork. So that's an option. Again, if you love it all, so you can send it all to them. They can put it in a hardcover book, make it digital for you, whatever it is, or you can scan it yourself and make it digital. So that's a kind of practical approach. I'm actually going to unpin that just because I then won't see your comments at the top. So that's a kind of a practical approach where you can use kids' artwork. Again, be selective. And I know parents' tendency is to keep a lot of the artwork thinking that when their kids are grown, they'll want it. They may, but current trends are showing, and I've been seeing a lot of articles about this, that the current generation and the young generation right now aren't as keen on hanging on to things from the past as we used to be. So you can keep some of your children's artwork. Don't have to keep it all. Doesn't mean you're a bad parent. You're still a great parent, even if you choose to get rid of some of it. And same thing with the items from your parents who have passed. I often say that I don't believe for a second that they're up there looking down going, you better hang on to that stuff. Earthly possessions mean nothing to them when they're in the spirit world. So thinking about, why am I keeping these items? Am I keeping them because I love them, because I cherish them? And if you are, it's not clutter. Then keep it, display it, put it out, enjoy it. If it's packed away in a box, tucked away somewhere, then it might not be providing as much value or adding as much value to your life as you think. So just consider that. My suggestion would be evaluate first, both the kids' artwork and your parents' items. Evaluate them first. Which things do you absolutely love? Do you definitely want to hang on to? Which stuff are you like, meh, I could go either way, not really sure? And which stuff have you identified that you're really just keeping out of guilt and obligation? Okay, so Sue says, let me make sure. Sue, art is not the finished product. It is the process we go through to make it. Yeah, you can look at it that way, right? So Sue's saying your children's artwork, it's the time you spent with, or it's the time they spent creating it for you. It's the time you spent with them creating it. that's the real cherished memory, right? The item, the resulting piece of art is lovely. And, you know, I've seen some parents frame their kids' artwork and put it up in the house, and it looks great. It looks beautiful. It looks adorable. But again, if it's just going to be tucked away in a drawer somewhere, then it really isn't adding a lot of value to your life. So just think about, do I want to keep a few key items and highlight them and display them? Get rid of the rest. And if you're not sure, it's okay to not be sure and put it aside. Just set a reminder somewhere for yourself to come back and revisit it. So hopefully that's helpful. Kimberly, how would your deceased loved one feel about your struggle with their stuff? Yeah, that's exactly it too. Like thinking about when your deceased loved one, when you have items from a deceased loved one that you're struggling with whether you want to keep it or not. You're feeling guilty, you kind of feel like you should, but you really don't love the item, or it doesn't bring you joy, or it doesn't add value to your life. Yes, how would your loved one feel about you keeping that stuff? It's like I say to people when they say I struggle to let go of gifts that people gave me. When someone gives you a gift, they don't wrap up guilt and obligation in the box with the gift. They give it to you because they thought of you, they thought you might like it, and maybe you did for a while, and maybe you're done with it. It's okay. I mean, I know, you know, when I give gifts to somebody, I love to see them use it or feature it, display it, wear it. It makes me happy. But if they were only doing that out of guilt, that wouldn't make me happy. It's like, you know what? I thought you might like that. If you don't, it's totally fine. I'm not saying it doesn't sting a little bit, but once I get over myself and think, I don't want them to keep it, you know, just because they feel bad or they feel like they have to. It's okay. It's okay to get rid of some stuff. Sarah, I still have a few things I remember giving my mom. I will work through your suggestions on these vital items. Still have a few I never really look at. So yeah, thinking about, I don't even really look at this. So if you don't look at it, you likely don't love it. Again, be sure to distinguish between I love this item or I love the memory that I have that is affiliated with the item. I'm glad you found that helpful, Monica. Like what is it that you really love? Is it the item or is it the memory that's attached to it? Just like the story I told with the music box that my dad gave me. I was heartbroken when it broke. Took me a couple months to throw away the broken pieces. But I had the memory of when he gave that to me, and I still have that crystal clear in my mind, even though the music box is gone. Would I love to still have the music box? Absolutely. But it was obliterated. It was broken. So there was no point in keeping it. It was no longer bringing me joy. It was bringing me sadness that it was broken on my desk. So I get rid of the music box, but I still have that memory. So be really careful to distinguish between what it is you love. Is it the item? Or is it the feeling that the item gives you, or the thought or the memory that the item triggers for you? Because that memory lives in your heart. It is not in the item. So to kind of circle this back around to the whole idea of finding the balance between momentum and rest, with clutter clearing or with anything in your life, anything that you're looking to accomplish, it's so important to remember that rest has to be a part of it. We're so conditioned in our culture to, you know, like busy is the new good. Like when someone says, how are you? Oh, I'm so busy. That there's some value attached to being busy. But so it can feel, you can feel guilty when you rest, when you decide to take a power nap, when you decide to take a day off, when you, go sit on the beach for the day. We have this conditioning that our worth is defined by how much we produce, how productive we can be, that we're lazy if we're just hanging out, that if someone asks us to do something and we're available and we say no, it's like we're this awful person. But you've got to refill your tank in order to show up to life. And so when I talk with my clients who want to be who are here and they want to be there. They're here, they want to be there. And they cannot figure out why they can't get there. That's one, in addition to looking at what have you tried to get there, and let's figure out what are the real blocks, what's the clutter that's getting in the way of you accomplishing the goals and the dreams that you have, but also what are the beliefs and the thinking behind your approach in going after those things. Do you have this belief that rest is lazy, that especially when I think about going into a new school year, I think of all my friends who are teachers or parents of young children. This is the time when you can get all caught up in, agreeing to sit on committees or being a classroom parent or baking cupcakes for the bake sale, running your kids to sports. This can be a really crazy busy time. So looking at your calendar and going, okay, I technically am available to do that volunteering, but I just don't know that energetically I'm available. Like really being very selective with, do you have the time? You may have the time available, but it doesn't mean you have the energy available. And it's okay to decline a request if you are short on energy. Just because you have the time doesn't mean you got to do it. I think that's a real key part of finding that balance. But this is knowing when to put the pedal to the metal, as I wrote in the write-up, and when to pump the brakes. Pumping the brakes, what we don't want to do, and this is what I found throughout this whole book launch process, is go, and look for, like at one point I was just feeling really stressed and really spent and running like crazy, and I thought, I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to identify when I can exhale, basically. Like, what's a date on the books that I can then go, oh, okay, I'm on the other side of it now. And as I flipped pages, as I clicked weeks in I use an electronic calendar, as I clicked on the weeks, and they kept going and kept going and kept going, and I thought, I don't know when the end date is. That's the whole idea, right? Because I don't want there to be an end date on this momentum. So that's when I knew I can't flip weeks ahead, because really I was flipping weeks ahead and I was in like mid-November. And I thought, this has been the summer that wasn't for me. Between us building the tiny house and the whole book stuff, really cool, fun, exciting stuff, but zero summer fun, right? So I had one beach day all summer, didn't have any vacation. So looking at, wow, it's going to be till mid-November till I can exhale, can't work that way. So we want to get out of this habit of like holding your breath, bracing yourself, and then looking for a time to exhale versus learning how to breathe every day. That's the whole marathon versus the sprint, right? So that's when I stopped looking at the calendar for that end date and started looking at my planning and being much more conscious, intentional, and strict with my planning. So much so that in my calendar, I will literally plug in there breakfast, client call, writing window, lunch, like it is spelled out in there how I'm going to spend my day. So then I know I feel good at the end of the day because I know I got done what I hoped to get done that day, instead of running around like a crazy woman, then being like fake busy, poking around on email, getting lost on Facebook, that kind of stuff. End of the day comes and you go, what did I get done today? I felt like I was so busy, but I don't feel like I got anything done, right? I know you've all felt that, right? When you get to the end of the day and you're like, man, I feel like I was so busy today, but I also feel like I got nothing done. It's because you're not using your time wisely. You are just running from one thing to the next to the next. So I would challenge you this week to carve out more intentional white space in your calendar. Look and see, what are your commitments? Carve out some more white space. Hey, Annie, carve out some more white space, more than you think you need. I know when I schedule a client call, depending on the length of the call, I almost always have at least 30 minutes in between appointments. I want to be really present and be of service to my clients. If I cram them in back to back to back to back, I wouldn't be fully present. I'd be with one client and still energetically and emotionally and mentally on the previous one. So I intentionally make my calendar so everything is spread out. So even those days when I feel like Annie's here, hey Annie, even those days when I feel like it's like, wow, I got a lot going on today, I can breathe because I can look. I'm looking at my calendar right now as I say this, which is why I'm looking this way. I can look and go, yes, but I have breathing space there and breathing space there. So put more intentional white space in your calendar. Good. Sarah's going to take the challenge. Who else is up for the challenge of intentionally creating white space? Carving out white space in your calendar. Looking for things, maybe over the next week you look at your calendar and identify one or two things that you can cancel or change your mind on. Some of you have heard me talk about this before, that I'll often give my clients, when appropriate, the disappointing challenge. And what that means is I have them intentionally disappoint at least one person a day for 2 weeks straight. I know that sounds harsh, but it's really, if you think about it, like, it helps you to really see how many requests and invitations come your way on a daily basis. If someone just, can I pick your brain? Or, could you just give me a quick call? I have a question. Whatever it is, you'd be surprised when you start to pay attention to how often these things come in, because we're so used to fire extinguishing. We just quickly yep, sure, no problem. Yep, got it. Yep, I'll give you a call. Let me send this text. I'll just, reply to this email. And we go through this motion over and over again. So it's like we don't even stop to think, wait a minute. How much is... Hold on. I'm just tagging someone who said they couldn't find me. Okay, good. How much are we just automatically saying yes to things? You need to really think about, when can I pause? It's that whole power of the pause, right, that I talked about a couple weeks ago. When requests or invitations come your way, practicing a pause before you respond. Just for a second of is this something I have time for? Is this something I want to do? Is this something that I'm excited about? Just giving that pause so you can check in and know, is this a yes for me? We're so fast to say yes just in the hopes of getting on the other side of something. Imagine if you just didn't say yes in the first place. So, thinking about that, yeah, Sarah can get caught up in the snowball. Totally. I totally can too. It's so easy to, right? It's like when you're in the middle of the snowball, right? Right, Sarah? I love that analogy. When you're in the middle of the snowball, all you see around you is white. You can't even see the forest for the trees. So that pause allows you to kind of jump out of the snowball for a minute and go, wait a minute. Is this something I want to do? We want the momentum that you maintain as often as possible to be focused on the goals and the vision you have for your life. So if you are too busy putting out fires left and right, and then at the end of the day go, oh man, today I meant to do blank. Hey Laura, welcome. Today I meant to do blank. And weeks end up going by and you haven't made any progress toward your goal, whatever it is. Then you want to look at, what is that clutter? Again, clutter is anything that gets in the way of you living the life of your dreams. So what is the clutter that is getting in the way of you taking action on the dream that you have for yourself? Is it too many requests from other people? That's clutter. Is it a belief that, your worthiness is attributed to how busy you are, how productive you are? That belief is clutter. What is getting in the way of you taking those action steps? It is clutter, and you want to think about, how can I clear this clutter so I can have more time and energy to focus on what really matters for me? Michelle says, I need to learn to practice that pause and check in with myself. I have a tendency to avoid people in order to have the space and time I need. I think that's really common, Michelle. Like that is an example of a boundary, right? But while it's a boundary that you're practicing, it's also an energetic toll, avoiding people so you can have the space and time you need. So steal some of my key phrases, so you don't have to avoid people. You can say, I'll have to check my calendar. I'm not really sure if I'm available. Let me get back to you. Like, these are those pause phrases that you can use so you don't feel like you have to avoid people, because that's clutter in and of itself. The people are clutter because you're not setting boundaries with them, but the avoidance that you're practicing is also clutter. So now you've got clutter on top of clutter. You've got the avoidance on top of the people. So if you can handle the people directly, with some of those key phrases of like, geez, I'm not really sure. I don't know that I have time to do that. Let me just evaluate a couple things and I'll get back to you. That gives you that pause to step back and go, okay, do I have the time, space, energy, desire to say yes to that person? And believe me, I know we all have things in life that you may not want to say yes to, but you kind of need to. But you can make those few and far between. There are things that are important enough for us to kind of suck it up and do, but just make sure that you're not spending the majority of your time sucking it up and doing it. So yeah, practicing that pause is so vital. Okay, great. God, it's 5:50 already. I am rambling today. All right, so I'm going to wrap up here. So that's the whole idea between momentum and rest. You've got to get rest in that as well. So good, Michelle. I'm glad that's helpful. Use those phrases. They're super helpful, and you're being truthful. It's not like you're lying. You're saying, you know what, I'm not really sure. Let me check on a couple things, and I'll get back to you. Step away, go check on some things, get back to them the next day, whenever. Okay, great. So I have just a couple quick announcements before we wrap up. You can still get access to the bonuses if you order my book. If you go to kerryrichandson.com/book, you can still take advantage of the bonuses that are on that page. They were pre-order bonuses, but still available to you as well. And also my Clutter Buster 1.0 course is starting September... One moment. September 18th. Is that true? Yeah, September 18th. It's a 4-week video course. You get homework assignments every week. There's a really supportive Facebook group. It's a fantastic class. I get amazing feedback from people on it. So just go to kerryrichandson.com/services. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll see the whole write-up about the Clutter Buster course. I do keep the course to a small number, to only 25 people, because I'm super active in our private Facebook group on a daily basis. I want to make sure I can serve everyone the very best I can, which is why I cap it off at only 25 people. So nice, intimate group. We make huge strides on your clutter. So check that out, kerryrichandson.com/services, or just go to kerryrichandson.com, and about halfway down, you'll see a link to the Clutter Buster 1.0 video course. So, all right. I know, it did go fast, right, Sarah? I know, my gosh. I hope that was helpful. Hope you got some handy tips from today. And let's meet back here again next week. I'm not sure what time it's going to be. The time sometimes changes, but it is always on Mondays. So be subscribed to my newsletter. I always send a note out to my subscribers to let them know what time. Make sure you like my Facebook page, because I'll put it there as well. Yeah, I think that's everything. All right. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. Really appreciate it. Hope it was helpful. And I will talk to you all next week. Bye.